We make way for a man who might be going through a midlife crisis.
Oh, you know it. You know it, Dan.
Mr. Energy himself, Tony Reali. After 23 years, ESPN's Around the Horn will air its final show coming up this Friday.
Thank you for the pub there.
Great to see you.
It's great to see you. He's talking about how I entered into the room just 3 minutes ago, and I said I was going through a midlife crisis like people do. They buy motorcycles. I don't buy motorcycles. I dress like I drive a motorcycle, Dan. That's what I'm doing here. Look at
you got the bomber. Yeah, I know.
There's pads in there.
Oh, yeah. You got.
In case I roll.
You got padded. You got shoulder pads. Yeah.
I got shoulder pads. Yeah.
Yeah.
I always wanted bigger shoulders, you know.
But well, you've carried the network for 20
Thank you
years.
very much.
Yeah.
I think I took it right from you. I mean that's part of why I needed to come here today, Dan.
Okay, but I'm serious though. With the midlife crisis it's a mid-career crisis.
I wouldn't call it a crisis. I feel amazing.
Okay.
I feel absolutely amazing. I feel energized and optimistic, and I know I can say this now after 23 years of being on TV and carrying a show, but of being somebody who, for his whole life, wants to please people and wants to be that guy, the energetic, kindest guy I can be. I can be proud of myself too. And I know 23 years of 5,000 episode television doesn't come available on the market often. So looking forward, there's no crisis. I'm feeling great.
How were you told that it was coming to an end?
Suddenly, then gradually, as all the good things in life. I read an article in the New York Post, my hometown paper, occasionally printed in English. And that was the first I heard that it was a possibility. Made a few calls to the people, of course, that I love, and we'll suss it out. And that's when I heard, no, we don't know where that came from. And we all know what that means. It came from somewhere. So that was over the summer of last year. I had my people look at things like ratings as if that might matter or something like that. We were up. We were doing great. So I wasn't really worried. But, once that toothpaste is out of the tube, you know what it is. So.
Okay, but do you sense the show is heading in a different direction? Why it got canceled. It's such a great show. And it felt like, was there too much money being spent, or was it too woke?
Too much money elsewhere. I mean, there certainly wasn't money. I can tell you that. I mean, the woke it's a fine headline to write. I don't believe what that is. I honestly think we did 50,000 topics over 23 years. Yeah. If you're going to tell me 10 or 15 drew an eyebrow up, I'll be like, yeah. I mean, we were doing some complex topics from time to time. I don't mute people in FaceTime. So maybe there's 2 or 3 there that didn't have the back and forth you would want. Maybe there's 1 or 2 I would take back if you asked me. Those aren't my regrets. Not at all. So the reality of the show being the most eclectic, and it's not a negative word for me, diverse show in the history of the television medium. We got people 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, all on a level playing field. We have men, we have women, all on a level playing field. You're going to tell me that that's never going to be a negative to me, even though times have changed and things are viewed differently now. I know the people who were part of our show are getting other jobs at our network, front-facing jobs, wonderful jobs that are at our highest properties.
But I can't imagine, with your excitement, your enthusiasm, your energy, you go into management.
Yes.
And can't convince them.
I said, let me play it however you see it. I can get rid of the mute button. If you don't like the game show element, we'll bring in switchers. We'll bring in athletes every now and then. But I believe the show is based, and the bones of the show is journalism. And when this one goes away, there ain't any more. Because I love Tony and Mike. They're not writing in the Washington Post on deadline tomorrow. Bill Plaschke is. Tim Kalishaw is. Right now. Tim Kalishaw is going to be working hard to be on the finale of Around the Horn, the show he gave his blood, sweat, tears, and sobriety to. He went straight to sobriety while doing the show. And one of the most proud things I can say of our show is the growth that we've all been able to have through the support of each other. He's going to be either in Edmonton, or Dallas for this, because again, the ombudsman of the schedule. Can we get an NHL schedule out earlier? But imagine he's in Edmonton, and I'm having a rogue camera shoot him. He's shooting it on an iPhone. All right, Tim, nice career you had with us. See you later.
But these were suggestions that you had.
I mean, I threw them out to my immediates, the great Eric Rydholm and Aaron Solomon. And I also then had a chance after some time to convey them to some people, or at least put my words out there. I mean, these were conversations I wanted more of.
Okay, but mute button and athletes?
Yeah, I'm speaking very frankly here. I would throw out the kitchen sink. I know what I can do on TV, and it's not just a mute button and a scoring system. So I know I could host different shows for this network, and I know they could want different shows. I understand that part of it. I went through 9 months where I did some education on myself and on the industry. How has the industry changed, right? And I'm aware of things now that may be by product of me siloed away doing a show the way I only saw fit. I know I had to carry a weight for 23 years. I respected that. I know 4,953 episodes doesn't happen by accident, doesn't happen even with somebody who's also doing a podcast and a streaming show and covering games on weekend. I know what I needed to do that. So now I'm trying to imagine, well, what else could the network want? And I would love to have that conversation still.
You're staying at ESPN.
I have a contract through the end of August, and I am having many great
this August.
Yes, 2 months. The show says goodbye Friday, and I'm happy to have the next 2 months to talk to everybody and anybody in the world, including ESPN.
But if you're, I was wondering about this, that you did that, but were you going to do other things like Wilbon does?
Oh yeah, I was ready. I was in a place now where I wanted to get the home life where I wanted it to be, and I had done Good Morning America as a correspondent for some years. It was 4 years in total. It wasn't, exactly where I thought it was going, and I think they would say the same of me, but it was a very fruitful experience and educative in that way. So I have now Google Documents full of game shows, kids shows, just because I wanted to stretch my personality out a little bit. But then, the same type of fare that I would love to make in TV and sports. Absolutely.
Tony Reali, for now, his business card reads Around the Horn host until this Friday, after 23 years.
I mean, we have been in a similar position in our lives. I don't know exactly how you came to find out. The big show was going wherever it's going, right?
Well, that's Keith Olbermann left.
Yes.
And we were together 5 years. And then I didn't have that epiphany until I turned 50, and I was sitting on the 6 o'clock Sports Center.
Were you wearing a motorcycle jacket at that time?
I was not.
Okay.
I was not doing that. But I remember I was throwing out to Sao Paulo, Antonio for whatever. And it hit me like, what are you doing? Because I was doing the 6 o'clock Sports Center so I could spend more time at home. I'd worked second shift for 15 years.
Yeah.
4 kids, young kids. And I just remember going, what are you doing? Mm-hmm. Like, I didn't want to be that, oh my God, he's still doing Sports Center. Even though it's a wonderful job, it's a young man's game.
I have people who tell me that, but I didn't feel that way. Okay, it's time to move on. You can do so many different things. And for me, I was taking it to the finish line. I was taking it back into port after going around the horn is what I was doing.
Yeah, but sometimes it's viewed as a negative if you continue to do the same job.
Precisely. The people in my life who love me were at least making that known to me that you should be branching out more. I had a muscle in me that said, what's right is right, and we're gonna carry this one to the end. So in some ways, that's why I do feel amazing now. I've had a chance. I'm not going to tell somebody whose last name is Patrick what an Irish goodbye is, but I've had an Italian goodbye. I've had 6 months of hugging people, coming into rooms, getting presents, giving presents, getting notes. I was not prepared, and maybe the network wasn't prepared, for a press release that had 4.5 million clicks on it. We're announcing incredible new parts of our network and the future of the industry and all these things. It's not seeing 4.5 million clicks. When I came up for air after that first week when I found out, and I said, I'm going to respond to everybody. And then I looked at the press release. It was 4 million clicks. I'm like, oh my goodness, what have I signed myself up for?
Could you do a variation of Around the Horn?
Absolutely. I think there's gas in the tank for this. This would have been the pitch if we were still having a conversation about extending. Sure. I mean, one of the great things about this industry, I grew up wanting to be you, Dan. This is why I made the drive out here. Anthony Reali, calling the Yankees. I saw a hit piece you did with Don Mattingly, right? As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a sportscaster. All right? You're doing Don Mattingly. I'm doing that. I want to be John Sterling. I want to be the guys who I had in my college who would come back and give speeches. Mike Breen, Michael Kay, Bob Papa, Chris Carino. That's every voice of the local teams I listened to growing up.
Yeah.
Okay? That's Fordham University. So I knew what I wanted to do since I was a kid. I knew the whole way. And I have seen other people navigate one job and then the next job and the next job. I do think, though, a refreshing of the show where you're talking to people. I got into this long story because I feel like young sportscasters, I would love to put them on. They have their own YouTube page now at 13. I had a Fisher-Price microphone that went nowhere. There was no cord in it. And I was you. For every history project, I would bring in the cardboard box, cut my head out, and do SportsCenter, do the big show, talking about the Revolutionary War. We start today with Cornwallis. Oh, Cornwallis. How did he blow it in Yorktown? He came in there with the strategy, and that sort of thing. I was doing that. Was not always well received. There's a little bit out there from Mr. Mattson and the Christian Brothers of New Jersey.
If you said, if you're going to watch any of these episodes,
yes.
Here's one episode that I'm most proud of. Is there an episode of Around the Horn for good or bad or ugly?
There's 3 or 4 in my head that stick with me. There was an April Fool's episode I did backwards. I workshop this on the walk to work. Talk about our crew, Aaron Solomon and Josh Bard, looking at me like I'm crazy, as they always do, but rolling with me, which I appreciate. So this was a Seinfeld type episode where I caught a paper toss. I said we were just on a 23-and-a-half-hour break. I got the FaceTime to somebody. I scored the show from 37 down to 0. An entire backwards episode, but the debates were still the news of the day of sports. And that this got workshopped in a 3-hour time frame. EMPS was backwards. The E-block was blah, blah, blah. Proud of that. I'm really proud of that. I would do that, For me, my evolution as a host and as a man was realizing feelings are superpower, and where are feelings more prevalent than in sports? But let's also apply those feelings to your life and putting it on stage. So having Woody Page come on and talk about depression, talking about the loss of my son in stillbirth and the birth of my son at the same time, that episode after Father's Day, that will stay with me for the rest of my life. Not because, I did it and I knew I was intentional of how I wanted to do it, and the reaction that came from that, I'm still getting notes. I'm still getting books sent to me and vice versa. So that was connection. That's what I've realized was the goal all along,
We talk about Kalashaw's sobriety,
Exactly.
Israel Gutierrez
coming out. I mean, these were all things. Now, again, you could write a headline and say, what is that game show on sports doing? It went too far. You can write, or you could just say broadly, they had too many people. Well, yes, I like people. I wanted as many voices as possible. I'm going to tell you it's a satire, Dan, now. All right, you can't score an argument, a sports argument. Nobody wins the sports argument. Much like life, what you get scored on one day changes the next day. What you do so well today may not work for you in your home life or in this show tomorrow, and you're going to have to roll with this. This is how intentional and meta-referential, honestly, I was doing when I was thinking about something as silly as the scoring of the show. So I wanted to be able to have any conversation at any time, but I got Tony and Mike after me. You got the same people every day. That's one go there for the same people every day. On this show, we'll give you the opposite.
I want you to score the show.
Let's go around the horn.
I want you to do with the Danettes, okay?
I'm with them.
And I want to know this scoring system, and and you pick the topics. Okay, for the Danettes.
Okay. So I'm sure we're really locked into the NBA playoffs right now.
No, we're going to take a break.
Oh, what? You take breaks on the show?
Yes, we do. Yes. You got to pay me.
If that's what you want to do with your life, all right.
It might be what you're doing with your life, too, at some point.
An infinity-and-a-half-hour break. Thank you, Dad.
How about we take a break? It's Tony Reali. He will explain the scoring system. He will play Around the Horn coming up. That'll keep you in your cars. We're back after this in the Dan Patrick Show.
They'll be driving up the road.
Oh, TV royalty, Tony Reali.
All right.
He dresses like he's in a motorcycle gang. He's got everything but the motorcycle.
I guess.
Yeah, you're with leather. ESPN Around the Horn. And the final show airs this Friday after 23 years. Okay. So I want you to be you, and I want you to treat the Danettes as if they are writers. And explain the system, though, the scoring system that you have.
Sure. Vibes would be one way to describe it. You know, everybody wants to reach vibes. Now, I'm looking for panelists not just to have an opinion. I'm looking for them to prove why their opinion is best right now. Prove it right now. You got to prove why your opinion's best. So you may think, Paul, I got to get some stats because Reali is a stat boy, born and raised, and that would be a great way to do it. But then if Fritzy were to come back and give stats on top of stats, well, stats on stats, we're not doing that. Mute Fritzy. All right, and then Marvin's coming in and he's saying, as the only panelist who watched this game, or as the only panelist who was in the locker room, is what I was there. Frank Isola, I was there. That's another way to get points. So now we're proving it could be analytical, it could be experiential, it could be, any number of things.
What's a bad way to try to get points?
That's a good question. I have banned certain phrases from the show because people of our ilk, never you, Dan, but I would say more the Danettes, have used them in a way that have rendered them meaningless. These are cliches. You want me to tell you now?
Yes.
Can I give you a little? Well, I'm going to give you partially of the list. Elite. Narrative. Optics. If we even approach any of those three words, and then there's even one more that comes up quite often. It's when you use one sport and you bring in another sport to use your analogy because you couldn't talk about this sport.
Well, that's called first take.
Oh, goodness. They're going to get me canceled before the week's over. Well, yeah, I mean, I believe this to be the case. If we're talking hockey, we're talking hockey. Don't you dare bring in, Steph Curry or whatever to make your comp. So that's another part of that. So those are the banned phrases. That's how you lose points. That's how you lose before. We have this filter that I would stamp on there, and there would be a siren. And then the panelists would stop talking in the middle of it because they thought, they were getting pulled over in their studio or something. I don't know. So then I had to be more, All right.
Okay, so you give them the topic, and then you'll judge them.
Yeah.
You'll give them points. Okay.
I heard it coming in. I think Brock Purdy was an interesting development in the NFL. Because we all know how we rank our top 5 and top 10 and top 15 quarterbacks. And we know about the success of the 49ers over the last 5 years, in part because of the structure of his salary as a rookie. So let's go around the horn on Brock Purdy's new deal at over $50 million per for Purdy. Around the horn, Paul.
The 49ers had no choice but to sign him. He bailed them out of the Trey Lance situation. They haven't paid him yet. And he's good, not great, but not bad enough to move on from.
That's a terrible way to make an argument, Paul.
Good, not great?
Just leave it at good. He's good. All right. Fritzy, do I see you back there? Around the horn, Fritzy. Buy or sell?
When did the San Francisco 49ers become the San Francisco Desperados? Are they like a UFL team now? How desperate can you be to spend that kind of money? They didn't win a Super Bowl.
Mute. How desperate are we that we're trying to get that USFL audience? Man, if you love sports in 1983, you're going to love this take from Fritzy.
Yeah, welcome to my show, Tony.
All right, Seton, what do we got?
I love what the 49ers did here. They gave their quarterback a fair, competitive salary that's not going to reset the market, so he doesn't have the pressure of explaining this gigantic salary right now. Plus, they got it done before preseason. They got it done before any of those questions are going to be asked about the extension. So when are you signing? Are you going to sign? Are you happy with the money? The guarantees are good but manageable. The money is front-loaded up top. These are all winners for this team.
Ding. Marvin, around the horn of you.
Love the Brock Purdy contract. First of all, he saved John Lynch's job as general manager for all those trade picks to go up for Trey Lance. And then you know what?
Dink. Maybe.
Marvin, keep going.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, he can give you that facial.
We got the commercial break.
PTI's
on in 5
really
minutes.
Good. Hey.
Sorry.
Love it for the 49ers. They got their franchise quarterback. Let's keep it rolling.
Okay, you don't just score with the dinks and the doinks and the mute. You score with your face. I'm a face scorer, right? The listening face, Dan. You know the listening face.
Oh, of course.
And then what do we got here? Okay, so. Well, there were some passionate arguments there, though Marvin kind of rolled off there at the end.
Marvin, you froze.
It's all right. It happens
I
when
did the
the
noises.
lights on. Yeah, the noises sometimes
Noises threw
get
me
you.
off. Sorry.
Today's champion and winner, Seton,
Nice.
FaceTime.
Hey.
Seton will get 30 seconds of FaceTime, Seton. Now let's see if you have a second gear. You can talk about anything you want in FaceTime, Seton.
Crystal Palace winning the FA Cup
Wow,
was
he had
huge
something.
for the American soccer audience. Chris Richards is a starter in that back line. He is also an owner of a USL championship team in Birmingham Legion. That's exactly the kind of momentum that you need heading into the World Cup in the United States next year. Vamos, boys, let's go!
This is incredible.
Wow, on the fly.
If I had a piece of paper right now, I don't want to take
Would
one
you-
of your scripts.
would
Yeah,
you-
let me see what I got.
Here you go. There you go. You can throw it right at Weeks, my
All
cameraman.
right, here we go, Weeksy. Let's see. Ready? We're on a 23, but soon to be infinity and a half-hour break. We'll see you tomorrow, maybe around the horn. Oh. The thing about the camera hit, the lens is everything. I've hit the camera 80% of the time, but when you don't hit the lens, it doesn't look like it, you know? Not that I'm explaining this.
What kind of athlete were you?
Not a great one. I was a passionate one, but I didn't grow until I was 18 years of age. So I may have been the best soccer player at 8 and a good baseball player at 9, and it was over for me pretty early on, which is how you become stat boy. That and not going on a date for your entire high school career is how you learn about the encyclopedia. And once again, I tell you, I mean, my bit wearing around a cardboard box pretending I'm you, you know, it doesn't go over so great at the school dance, you know.
Tony Reali, host of Around the Horn, the last episode on Friday. Do you know what you're going to say at the end of Friday's show?
Yeah. I felt this way for a few months even.
Have you practiced this?
Not yet. I may. I think I will. I know what I'm going to be doing in the first 3 minutes of the show, and that's what I'm very excited about. I've already bought the music, script, you know, and procured the music, and I have a very special guest coming by the studio too. That means something to me and my family, and I'm excited for that. And I think a lot of people know a little about me, may know where I'm going with those first 3 minutes of walking onto the set. And then I'm going to, you know, the back end of the show, I think I'm going to explain the scoring system. I think I'm going to do that. I think finally, and the stats are important to me. I came in a stats boy. I'm going to show the final stats of Around the Horn.
I wondered, though, you know, Tony and Mike labeled you stat boy.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's hard to get out of that, oh, you're just stat boy, right?
Yeah. It's like being a Marine. Once you're a Marine, you're always a Marine. Once you're a stat boy, you're always a stat boy. I don't
okay
take
with that?
I was called Bambi when I was playing college rugby. Bambi. Yeah, that's not a great nickname.
That's not a good-
No, not for a rugby player. And I was all right with that because 2 career tackles would prove that I ran away from action. No, this is just about connection. I love that people call me stat boy in the street today. It happened yesterday, or more specifically, you know? Yeah. And I'll carry that one to the end. Sure.
Anybody get really upset with the mute button?
Oh, sure. Jay Mariotti got very upset with the mute button for his 10 years on the show. There have been times I know I had to take the temperature of even, you know, some of our greats. You know, Woody Page, it's good to give a call to people. If I can say anything, check in with your people. You know, you're doing, I'm trying to make a moment on TV. He's trying to make a moment on TV. I feel like I'm being the most authentic, real Reali. But I know that rubs everybody in a certain way. Some days my energy's too big. Some days. So we've had conversations even in the last 2 years, not Woody specifically, but me and some panelists. I'm like, yeah, maybe I overstepped there. That, you know where my heart is, but that's on me. And you got to make that phone call.
Ever objected to anything that Woody put on his chalkboard?
Well, he certainly got us in trouble once. He put a 1-900 number up there. Now, this was a time when once again, USFL, baby. This was a time when their 1-900 numbers usually came on at about 11 o'clock at night, and they were telling you about the sexiest time you're going to have of your life over a telephone. Well, Woody put on a number that said 1-900, some 3 letters, HORN, the name of our show. The name of our show, maybe even in the UK, would come off in a different way, right? Around the Horn suggests something a little bit different over there. So, in fact, that phone number did take you to a number for sexy time. Did Woody know this? I think we know Woody a little bit. I think he knew this. Did any of us know this? No. But that's what happened that one time. Yeah, that's the true story.
You ever get brought on the carpet by management?
Not once. Never.
Then you weren't doing
I wasn't doing it right.
You were not.
I told you, if I have a regret, it's that I didn't bang the drum about how strong our show was doing, somebody said recently, controversies. This show, never in a million. We had 2-3 articles written about us saying that topic was too far. Fine. Never once was that the case. I got 2 conversations in 20 years of keep on doing what you're doing. That's the entirety. And again, there's pros and cons to this. There's David Letterman, of course, another idol of mine, interviewed Warren Zevon, his favorite musician, at the end of his life. And he says very heartfully on the show, well, maybe never going to a doctor for all those 70 years was a bad strategy. Maybe not checking in about, in anything. I want more. I want this. We need this. We demand more. I want to see us on ESPN.com because we are the second highest rated show on the daily schedule. I want my YouTube page back. Where'd my YouTube page go? I had a YouTube page 10 years ago. We were operating on that in a high level, and it went away. Keys were taken away for that. And now YouTube is something that, of course, this network should want.
Yeah, but you're a pleaser, so you don't want to disrupt.
Precisely. And then I'm the guy who's going to be creating a movie every single day, where I'm getting, so I'm lost in a silo of an edit suite, trying to think about how that topic can go best that day.
I overheard you say that you brought gifts.
Oh, well, these are very little. In the past, I brought cannoli and schwuledel because you were in New York.
Yeah.
And I wanted to show tribute to New York. A schwuledel is an Italian pastry from Naples that kind of looks like a big overflowing metastasizing ear or something. And the cannoli we all know. This is different. I have some friends who...
Have you been to Naples?
I haven't been to Naples.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
That's, now it's something that may be available to us. My family's from Naples and Reggio di Calabria. We've done other parts of Italy, but that's going to be next. But now...
Maybe a show called Around the Boot.
How incredible is that? That's great, right?
Yeah. Tony Reali's Around the Boot.
Bourdain for Sports is available too. It's available to all of us, right, in the world,
Yeah.
Why aren't we doing Anthony Bourdain for Sports? You want to do a heartful show?
Yeah.
You want to show how sports unites people?
Yeah.
That's
Who's taking the scoring system?
I'm hoping to get a gift for everybody who works on the show that will be the literal screen that you might have seen.
But your scoring system, I'd love to at least offer up the Man Cave as sort of the sports equivalent of the Smithsonian.
Well, I can get you a mute button. I can get my hands on a mute button. I'm going to whittle it down and send it to people who inspired me in the business, and you're at the very top of that list, so let's do that.
How about we just ravage the set?
I'm not a collectibles type of guy. I noticed.
Yeah, you can tell. But, I had this suggestion for David Letterman on the final episode. They should have been dismantling the set.
Around him.
During
I thought about that before,
during
too.
the show. I do have a cone of silence here.
Mm-hmm.
If you'll notice over Fritzy.
Yeah, that belongs there after that USFL take.
That's my version of the mute button. And Fritzy freaks out because he gets claustrophobic.
It's getting a little hot in here.
Yeah. So, all right, so you brought gifts here.
Well, I brought gifts because it's important to me to show tribute.
Okay.
When I work with Letterman, when I work with Oberman, I stopped by his office today. His show was on at the same time as Around the Horn, and got him something that was his favorite player growing up. This is nothing like that.
Okay.
But some tasty little treats, chocolate-covered Oreos.
Oh, okay.
And the best part of a s'more without, no marshmallow there.
Okay.
And that's from Zabar's, which is a New York institution as well.
Well, how about that? Look what we got.
Yeah.
No, nobody's more excited than Fritzy.
Yeah.
That looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Yes.
Always bring something.
Would you like to guest host this show one day?
Absolutely. Thank you very much for asking. Yes, of course. Of course.
All right.
Can we make that? Do you know a guy?
Yeah. Me.
It would be an honor. I would make the drive up. And where am I now? Oh, don't know. Yeah.
Or you could just take the train.
I hadn't considered that.
Grand Central, take the train.
Yeah.
Next up,
it would be
Milford
my
Train.
honor and privilege.
But we'll let you decide who you want on.
I don't think you want to do that.
No, yeah, no, yeah, but
We're going to be doing a Sopranos reunion. You're going to want me to talk sports.
Well, it's good you do it since I never saw an episode.
Oh, I know this about you. Yeah, or maybe it'll be my motorcycle club by that time. I'll.
Yeah, but see, my wife's Italian. We don't even joke about the mob. It doesn't come up.
You're missing out on all the good stuff. It's a human show. Much like Around the Horn was about feelings, so was this.
We're not.
You watch Goodfellas. I saw when you walk in.
Finally watched it. Oh, you got your Ray Liotta.
Yeah. I mean, I walk around this every day, and then I take pictures of people, and they look at this and they smile immediately. Right? This is you know how many photos I have on my phone, Dan? 395,000. You know how many favorites I have? 57,000. So if you really want to pare it down quickly.
Oh my God.
Well, we just did the photo outside. I took
Okay, when are you going to put that photo up?
I mean, it could be up whenever you want. It's your photo.
Okay.
This is my gift to you. I would hope you blow it up to like 6 by 6 feet.
No, we'll put it. We reenacted the LeBron James, Dwayne Wade. Where
yes,
he mugs
I
to the
came in
camera.
here with an idea, as I always like to do, and I wanted Dan to be LeBron, and I was happy to be Dwayne Wade in the foreground, and I wanted Dan dunking.
How about we post it now?
Well, now that we've set it up in this enormous way, I hope the composition is nice.
I'll take your mute button.
Yes.
I won't use the mute button.
No, but you'll have one on the set.
But I want you to take me up on the offer of guest hosting one day.
I would appreciate that. I would be honored to do
we would love, and if you get down in the dumps and, you don't have a job,
yes,
you could always, call me up.
My dumps look different than other people's dumps.
Whoa,
I was
whoa,
born in...
whoa.
That's uncomfortable.
Oh, boy.
What are we doing?
Well, now that I said it like that, a lot of kale. But no, I was talking about I grew up in Staten Island for my first 5 years. We know dumps.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah, my wife is from Staten
I know
Island.
this about us, yes.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm going to stop off at the shop now that I'm in the neighborhood. We're gonna delay Around the Horn so I can stop off at the shop, get some creamery.
All right. Great to see you.
Thank you,
Have
Dan.
fun on Friday.
I think I will. I think I'm going to have a lot of fun.
And hopefully it's what you want it to be.
There will be no other way.
Good. Because there's always people tell you how you should do it. You need to do it how you want to do it. There's a big difference in that. The final episode Around the Horn on Friday. He's Tony Reali, and good luck with life.
Thank you. I'm not dying. This is not even Tom Sawyer attending his own funeral. This is not that.
All right. I just, sometimes it feels like a death.
Yeah, I mean, I can I can recognize what that is, but there's a fullness to it as well. Again, 4,953. You could say it's canceled. It's being sunset. All right, it's being put out, but it's not. I mean, come on, it's more than Oprah Winfrey and David Letterman and Jerry Springer. We did all right.
We'll take a break. Back after this, Dan Patrick Show.